welcome to this week's episode of Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is being brought to you by Time Tripping Nostalgia. Call Tony and let him help you escape to a simpler time when life was full of wonder and amazement. That's Tony at 188 Time Trip. This week, we journey back into time ourselves to the Wonder Years as we discuss the new hit show, The Wonder Years, which is a reboot of the classic coming-of-age series, The Wonder Years. Damn, how many times can you say Wonder Years in one sentence? Starring Dule Hill and Alicia Williams. So Tammy, what do you think? Is it wonderful or whacked?
Okay, before we get to that, now this time trip sponsor that we got, right? Is that like an LSD time trip?
Would it be bad if I just said I let the check clear and didn't ask too many questions? But
Absolutely not, because that is an answer to the question. I'm sorry, y'all.
I don't know if I necessarily want to get into the legalities of all that, but yeah, sure.
Okay, so what I will say is that I am very, very happy with what has come from the reboot of the Wonder Years. I think it is amazing. I loved it. Like, I got the nostalgic feelings. I fully understood like all of the concepts, even though like that was not the time that I grew up, because I am not that old. But I can fully understand it. And there's some things that you can relate to today on how, our society is today. So I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was like 5 episodes, I think. 5 or 6, I'm not sure. And so far it's really, really good. What about you, Eddie?
I agree. Like you said it perfectly. It's I was excited because I'm a Don Cheadle fan and I love Don Cheadle's voice. And so when I heard he was narrating, I was like, okay. But I was also a little skeptical because I'm like, everyone was calling it the Black Wonder Years. And so, just for that reason, it kind of already had a built-in audience and it piqued my curiosity. But it's so much more than that because the show it's really its own thing. And I love that. Like, we know it's based off of the old show, but it has its own identity, and it did not take it long to find it. And I'm so grateful for that. And I agree with you. I'm not that old either, but I kind of like seeing shows that were around during that time. I think it was 1968. So they did very early on deal with Dr. King's death. And I kind of like seeing shows from that time period because it kind of gives me an idea of what was going on when my mom was younger. And I always been curious. I guess that's the history buff in me coming out. So, and yeah, I really, really enjoy it so far. It is so much better than I thought it was going to be. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's cute. What are some of your favorite parts about the show?
Like how he has diarrhea of the mouth.
Oh yes.
And so every episode he reveals something that should not be revealed. But then at the same time, when he reveals it, he realizes why it should not have been revealed. So it's kind of like it teaches him even more about the world around him. And like the premise was at the beginning, is that when he turned 12 years old, he knew that 12 years old was going to determine the type of person that he was going to become. And so you do see that all of these slip ups of the mouth that he has ultimately leads to the person that he's going to become. He learns every single time as he's growing up in the 60s. And I hope that this show goes on because, it just got a full season, but I hope this show goes on because I would love to see how the 70s goes for him as well. But yeah, diarrhea of the mouth. Like, he says everything and I'd be like, you were not supposed to say that. Like my scene is when his mom has that open conversation about sex with him. And
Yes.
he's like, yeah, you know, I know all this stuff. So he goes to school and he tells all his friends, and the guys are like, what? Seriously? And then he just goes up to the girl. He's just like, yo, guess what I know? And she clocks him.
Yes.
And then you find out, like, even like, you know, the sad thing of the different dynamics of parents, like, you know, on a real moment, is not realizing. I think one thing that really showed was how conservative the Black community can also be on you know, gender dynamics and family dynamics and everything like that. Like, you know, we do have a large, like, conservative base within our community, and that one scene really really showed the different dynamics of a very very conservative family who feels that their daughter should not know any of this. So literally, you're just gonna have her thrown to the wolves when she gets older. And then a family where I'm gonna teach my kids all of this so that they're not naive when they go into the real world.
And I agree with you. That was one of my, I put that down as one of my favorite episodes. And but so much happened during that episode. But yeah, that scene that you're talking about did strike home, where she, the mom, she was called into the principal's office, and because a um who she was in the room with, and the people who were expected to take the lead, um God forbid, it's a woman who's actually telling her son about these things and having candid conversations with her son about human sexuality, especially when it comes to a woman and her wants and her needs and the woman's body, and you know, just all of that. And then because she's in this room with, isn't the principal's white, correct?
Yeah.
With the white principal, and then just a black husband, father, man, quote unquote, head of the household. And both of the women are sitting there just shrieking in silence. And she's doing it more so out of embarrassment and trying to, like, stay, I guess, quote unquote, in her place. And it seemed like the little girl's mother was doing it more out of like fear. I'm like, ooh, the dynamics in that household, you know? Like it was that don't speak unless you're spoken to type thing, you know?
Which is
And
crazy to me because the girl is very very like in your face. So I'm like, does that mean she's very very demure? How you say it?
demure.
Yeah, at home, and she lets out all of her aggression when she's at school, since she's like an in your face kind of person. Because then when she becomes a teenager, that's going to become a worse problem because of who your father is and how timid your mother is. She's going to start resenting her mother.
Yeah. So it that, you know, and I guess since we're on that episode, also the porn, when he learns that the porn stash was his mom's.
Oh yeah, that whole thing
And
was awesome.
yeah, and his friends, but the funniest part is when his best friend was like, I'm on my period. He's like, that can't happen to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great. I actually am surprised by how funny Dule Hill is in this role, because I never watched Psych. I wasn't a Psych fan, and so I guess my experiences with him had always been in the heavier, more dramatic roles, like when he was on West Wing. Um, I know in Psych, I think he kind of played the straight man from the episodes I saw. So to see him in this, and I love his catchphrase, "Be cool," you know, and the way he says it, he never breaks a sweat. Be cool, be cool. Um, so I love him in this, and he's actually funny as their dad. I like it. Um, I just wish we had more of his sister. I would love to see more of his sister.
I'm okay. Like, I mean, I read on, like, you know, that's like the one of the critiques of the show is that the sister doesn't get that much to do, and I feel it's because you have to set up the dynamics of the show first. And the dynamics of the show really is his relationship with his mother, his relationship with his dad, as he figures out who he is. And I think that the sister is going to have more of a prominent role as she becomes more involved in determining what type of person he's going to become. Um, but she's a typical older sister. She knows nothing about her brother, and she does not care.
Yeah, and and like you said, it just got picked up for a full season, so that might be something that they address or they show. I really did like the episode that was more geared towards her, which I think was the second episode or whatever, and her activism and just in that house, like you said, for his parents to be so liberal, where they fall on the activism stance, and it's like okay, they were all pro king in that activism, but the Black Panthers, that was a different type of thing. So I'm just more interested to see more of that. And I did like the episode that was geared more towards her and more towards her and her brother's relationship. And again, I don't want to do what I said I wouldn't do, but comparing and you're right, they have to build it and see where it's going to go and introduce the characters. And so, but I guess in the original Wonder Years, as we get more of Kevin's relationship with his brother, and his brother becomes a more central character in later seasons. So we'll see. But I do like his sister. And you're right, she is the typical big sister who cares nothing about her brother. But when push comes to shove, they have each other's back, which is cute.
Definitely.
So is that girl is I forgot her name. I was going to call her Keisha. I have no idea what her name is. But do you think that's his Winnie?
Well, it's supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
That's how Winnie was. So I assumed it was.
Okay. I was like, is this his Winnie or is Winnie going to come along later?
No, that's his Winnie, or his
That's his Winnie.
Topanga, the way that you look at it. Sorry.
That's okay. Um, yeah. Now, one thing they now have a theme song, but I want to hear more of it. I do. I'm glad they have it, but I want to hear more of their original theme song. Um, what do you think about what? So, who are some of your favorite characters? Let me put it that way. Ask you that.
I love the cast altogether. Um, I love his family. I love the family dynamics of how his family is. And I also love like his friends group. Uh, I love Brad, you know. And I forgot what his best friend is. Eric. I think Eric is his name. So I like Brad, which is his white friend, and then I like his best friend as well. I think my least favorite character would be the Winnie character, because I have not warmed up to her yet. And it could be partly like her acting. She has not sold me on the role. So she would be like my least favorite character, but the rest of them, like I just love the dynamics of the show. I think they do a very, very good job of pushing the dynamics of the show, of them all being connected to the main character.
I agree. I think maybe that and maybe that's why I asked that if that was his Winnie, because I'm not sold on it either. I'm not going to necessarily say her acting. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see um, the connection. I know we're supposed to believe that they're these great friends, or that they were like best friends, or that they've been friends forever, but I don't see it. Not saying that she didn't deserve to hit him, because I'm sure he probably said something inadvertently fucked up when he was trying to show off his new knowledge of the female body and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I don't see it. Like, she always seems mad at him, or and if they're trying to play up that, oh, you always act like you don't like the one you like, the one you really like, they're doing a great job, like a great job. So I guess maybe we need to see more scenes with them one on one, so you can warm up to whatever it is. But she seems almost, gosh, I'm about to sound like you. I'm about to sound totally Tammy. She seems useless to me at this point.
Ooh,
Are
I
you
agree.
proud?
I
Are
am.
you proud? So yeah, I could do without her. I love Eric's dad, and I love his rivalry with Bill, who is Dean's dad. Like, the camping episode was so funny, and when they were in the baseball episode, when they were both trying to tell him how to bat,
And
and
he
he
ain't
didn't
know
know.
which direction to go.
Yeah, he didn't know who to listen to. So I was just like, but yeah, I loved it. And then even when Eric's dad came and talked to him and just explained to him about camping, because it seems like they've been friends since they were or frenemies. Is that would that be a more
No, they're
accurate?
best friend. No, they're best friends.
Eric's dad and his dad.
Oh, frenemies. Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant the kids.
Oh no, yeah, the dads. They seem
Oh,
more
it's
like
Corey. Corey.
Corey. Okay,
I
they
was so
seem
wrong on the
more.
name.
I'm so proud. Look at us switching roles today. They pulled they've been frenemies since kids. So when he went and tried to explain to him, I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Um, and he actually did it without taking didn't throw any shade at all. I was like, oh, look at him. I was like, so that's how you adults. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. So what did you think? What have been some of your favorite episodes besides the one that we talked about?
Oh. I would say like my other favorite episode so far is when he goes to work with his mom.
Yes.
And he learns the dynamics of her being a black woman in a position of some type of power, but also having to play to male fragility and white male fragility at that, on playing to their ego in order to get the job done, and how she works around that.
I could not have said. Look at us agreeing today. The Wonder Years really is a wonder. It's working miracles.
Oh Lord
Um,
Jesus.
but yeah, I love that one because it showed that power dynamic. And as a black woman in power, at one point I was like, in the way they did it, because at one point I'm like, is she lying about her job? Like, is she really just the secretary? And I think that was when she had made the treats for so and so's birthday party. And the
Hmm.
way oh boy was talking to her, was talking down to her. And I'm like, is she really in that one moment I'm like, is she really just the secretary who was trying to, make her son think that she was something more? And then you get the idea, you see that no, she's not. It's just, where did she fit in as a black woman, as the only educated black woman? Like, she was more educated than her boss. She had her master's degree in finance or business or accounting. The only one in that whole building or department who had a master's degree. She didn't fit in with any of the women. Race aside, the fact that she was technically their superior. Even Corey's father, they worked at the same place. He didn't really talk to her too much, besides if he needed something, you know. And then it's like, oh, but she was still expected to like bring treats for someone's birthday party and supply the party favors or whatever. So it was just like, and then you see all the shit that she puts up with at work, and then she goes home and she has to be super mom and wife, have dinner on the table, know where everyone's laundry is, do all of this stuff. And so when he went off and he's like, can't you see we just got home from work? We need a break.
I loved it. I loved it. And she was like, And she got up and she walked past them too. She's like, I ain't even gonna reprimand him for this because he right.
So I was just like, and that was one of the things that hit home today. Like, that was so relatable to today. Like how women are expected to be super women, but still play this role. You're expected to be superwoman, but not too super, if you know what I'm saying. And
Yep.
then especially black women, it's like, where do we fit in, into this world? Like, she ran that office, but she didn't get the credit. And especially when he said, but mom, wasn't that your idea? And that was her, and she was like, yep. And that was her moment of pride, her moment idea, but she would never get full credit for having that idea. So I love that. Do you have another one?
It was only 5.
I know, but you don't have another one?
It was only 5. Do you have
I like the Boy Scouts one.
one? Oh, I'm not a fan of that one. But why did you like the Boy Scout one?
I liked I liked when they were camping in the woods. Actually, my favorite part of the episode was when his dad had them cleaning up his house and doing all his chores.
Oh yeah, and saying about how you're about to get your plumber badge.
Yes, I was just like, oh, that was like the blackest thing ever to me.
It
Because
was awesome.
that was probably that was my favorite part of the episode, was just like how he had them all fixing the plumbing, doing the cleaning, we eating the yard and all of that kind of stuff. So I loved it. And I liked the first one. It kind of showed that, even though especially, or the second one, when they were having Dr. King's funeral, he knew he should be upset, and everyone thought he was just so upset because of the great loss of this civil rights icon. And he was really, really upset and in his feelings because he saw his best friend kissing his girl, or the girl that he really liked.
I didn't
And
understand why they felt that he was 12 years old. Like,
exactly.
but I guess it's the fact of like, well, you're black, so you should automatically like know who Martin Luther King Jr. is and how important he was to the community. So of course you're going to be sad. And I'm like, he's 12. He's not militant yet.
Yeah. And I could relate to his schooling experiences. I was just like, oh God, that
Oh
brought
yeah,
back
because you went to a
memories.
PWI, didn't you?
Yes, my entire life, from elementary all the way up. And I was just like, oh God, that brings back so many experiences. So many. Especially when you don't fit the stereotype and act the way they want you to act or they expect you to act. So, or expected you to act, you're so well. And as a kid, you didn't understand the code behind what they're saying. You're so well mannered, and it's like, yeah, that's the way my mama. It's like you didn't get the dig, and I was just like, oh God. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, or um, you're so smart. How did you? I studied, or just, and then add to that being raised by a single mom, that didn't make it much better. But yeah, so I understood that. Um, so it's already been renewed for a full season, which I think it's great. You do too. So what are some things? I already said I would like to see more of a sister. What are some things that you would like to see expanded on in this season?
And
Or
if
so,
it ain't broke, don't fix it. It don't need to be fixed. I think I'm just excited to see the progression of the show, and what they do. I don't have an idea of like what I want them to do, like, but the concept is working for them. Like I don't have any like ideas on like, oh, I want to see this more, I want to see that more. Like I'm gonna have the belief that the sister is gonna play more of a prominent role the longer the season goes. So if that doesn't happen, that would be one of my things, is to utilize her more, to show that even as she necessarily doesn't really know him, that when it comes down to it, they'll always be there for each other. And then the next thing is to meet his older brother who is in Vietnam right now. And that dynamic, because it's looking like he's closest to his older brother than he is to his sister. So seeing that dynamic would be really, really cool.
yeah, I agree. I would hope that they would get um gosh, I if that is his Winnie, I hope that they develop some chemistry, or they give them more scene time so we can actually see the chemistry. Just a little bit, just even a hint. Like, we know he's batshit crazy about her, but that she even likes him as a human being, like as a person. Because
Yeah.
at this point, it's just like, oh, you're Corey's friend, or I tolerate you, or I know you because we've gone to school all this time. Like, it's just like, let the three of them hang out, something to give me an idea, or introduce someone who will come in and actually be the Winnie. But I get it. It's still forming its own, and I get that. But I was just like, that can't be the overall love interest. It just can't be. So, and again, I agree with you. I would love to meet his brother. And I was thinking about that as I was preparing. I'm like, I hope that it's not just someone that's mentioned on screen. I hope they don't kill him off in Vietnam off screen, especially before we have a chance to meet him. Not at all, actually, but I hope that that doesn't happen. Um, and I would love to meet his older brother because, like you said, it seems like that's the one he's closest to, and I would love to see that relationship, that dynamic play out between them. Um, and other than that, I'm with you. Like I love the show as is. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm so happy it got a full season pickup, and I look forward. I hope it gets not only a full season, but I hope it gets renewed for a second season and so forth and so on. Um, I would like to see more music from the '60s though, and maybe it's a licensing thing or whatever. But you know, other than that, and that's just me being a music buff and loving music, I guess. I guess. But yeah, there's nothing more in the '60s that they. I think the next one. I think the next big one would probably be Robert Kennedy if they dealt with another assassination. Because I think he
Oh
was. I think
yes.
he's I think King came first in '68, then Robert Kennedy was later '68 or '69. So I think that's it. And then, that would probably be the next big thing they've already done. I think the time has passed for the first moon landing. So that would just take us into the '70s and stuff. And I guess dealing more with Vietnam, and interesting to see how different families, because and that's one thing I really did like is I love that they were like, um, how they just make it seem like all black families and all black people were just these militant protesters and all of this kind of stuff. And like I said, they were down with Dr. King, but not so much with the Black Panther. So I want to see how that goes. And like in the second episode, his sister realized that, okay, maybe she's down with the parts of the cause, but she's not so down with the militant, violent part. Um, so I would love to see more of that dynamic and how her family deals with that as she becomes more of her own person during that turbulent time as well. Um, do you have any other kernels at the bottom of your bag about the Wonder Years?
No, I'm just excited to see where the season goes. I definitely would recommend the show um to anyone who loved the original, but also to anyone who likes like Blackish, you'll love the Wonder Years. Like really, really good. Especially like, older people.
Yeah,
It bring yeah, like older generations, definitely the millennials. The
yeah,
millennial generation, which is not as large as they like to say because they like to blame us for everything. But the millennial generation would definitely love the Wonder Years. It is a great show. Yeah, but that's about it for me. We can get to the
yeah.
ratings.
Okay, I agree. And what would you rate it so far?
So far, only 5 episodes. I'm guessing we're gonna have to do like a recap at the end of the season. I am going to give it a 4.25. I really, really enjoyed the Wonder Years. Super, super excited about what comes about in the rest of the season. I'll actually continue to watch it. Not in real time, because I don't watch TV in real time anymore, but I definitely will continue to watch it as it progresses through the season. What about you, Eddie?
I agree. I gave it a 4, and I absolutely love it. I would recommend it, and especially like you said to maybe would we be considered millennials? I
We
guess,
are.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
To our generation and above, especially if you want to know what it was like when your parents, we hear about all these things, and you want just to see a different thing, and like you said initially, a lot of the stuff you can relate and bring back to today. Like I think they do a good job of showing, hey, a lot of nothing new is under the sun. A lot of the issues that we are dealing with today, people have been dealing with for decades and decades. They were just addressed differently if they were addressed at all. So I really do love that about the show. Um, and I would highly recommend it. I don't watch TV in real time that much anymore either. So you can catch it live in real time on ABC. I believe it comes on Monday nights at 7:30, if I'm not mistaken. Check
Yep,
your local
7:30
listings.
Central,
Yeah,
8:30 Eastern.
Eastern. I was going to say, check your local listings on your TV guide for that one.
Yes.
But you can also catch it streaming on Hulu, which is where I generally watch it, a couple of episodes. And, you know, so I probably would have, if we weren't reviewing it the first part of the season, I probably would have waited till Christmas break where it had more episodes. But I'm glad we did it. I really am. I'm really glad we kept it on the list. And um, it probably forced me to watch something that just because of other stuff may have gotten pushed off the list or slid
Yeah,
further down the list. So I'm really glad, and I highly, highly recommend it. All right, is that it?
I
Nothing
think
else?
so.
We're good? All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify Podcasts. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the Popcorn Wind Down. That's it. That's the plug. Pop, 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 pop,
Pop,
pop,
pop, pop,
pop.
pop, pop, pop,
That was that big old bag of microwave popcorn.
pop.
Thank you as
No, that's
always,
the
and
stove popcorn.
that's the stove popcorn.
Yes.
Some good stove popcorn. Thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week when we finally, or I don't know why I keep saying finally, like we've been waiting for it forever, but when we get to discuss Doogie Kamealoha, I can't say her last name, but Doogie Kamealoha MD, another reboot of a classic TV series, Doogie Howser. I'm actually excited to talk about this one,
I'm excited to see what you think of it.
and vice versa. So until then, and so all of you, you'll just have to stay tuned until the next time, till next week. So I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.